G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Now sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the Barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user Repulsive Scheme 1359, titled, Am I the asshole for giving my future mother-in-law 3 days to pay me for a new wedding dress, or else I show the family a photo of her wearing it? So I'm getting married to my fiancé soon. I bought my wedding dress a few weeks ago. His mother, my future mother-in-law, kept pestering me about trying it on, but I firmly refused. I finally shut it down after she offered me $100 to let her try it on. Her reasoning for persisting so much? She says it's because of her love for wedding dresses and her obsession with them. Fast forward to yesterday, I came home from work early and I found my fiancé at home. He freaked out after seeing me and tried to prevent me from going into my room while trying to text somebody on his phone. I opened the door and was shocked to see his mum standing there wearing my dress. I instantly pulled out my phone and took a photo of her in it. She and my fiancé freaked out after I told her that she needed to pay me for a new dress in 3 days, or else I'll show the whole family the photo. She started crying and then left, and my fiancé blew up at me saying that I can't be serious and that I overreacted because his mum just wanted to try the dress on. No harm done. But I refused to listen to him because in my opinion, the dress should only be worn by the bride and the bride only. Quite frankly, I felt disgusted looking at that dress again. I don't want it anymore, and so I think that it's fair that she pays me after she ruined it for me. He yelled at me and told me to wake up and stop treating his mum like that, as if she was an enemy. We had a fight after he failed to get me to back down, and he's been staying with his mum since then. I felt awful, but I spent $3,000 on this dress and worked hard to get it. I can't stand looking at it, but people in my family think I'm escalating things and risking my relationship with not only my future mother-in-law, but my fiancé as well. Am I the asshole? I wonder if people in your family would also be happy with something like this happening to them. Obviously, they can sit on the fence and just yell at you because it's not happening to them, and that's a much easier position to be far removed from the drama than directly affecting them, but that's just not cool for them to be saying that. I think the fact that your fiancé hid this from you and continued to hide it from you and then is seemingly gaslighting you into saying that you're the problem here and not him and his mother speaks volumes about him as a person. This is a marriage. This is a partnership that the both of you are entering into, where you both need to be each other's top priorities, and he's not prioritizing you at all, OP. Like, of course you're escalating things and risking your relationship with them, because they've been assholes to you. The escalation on your end is not the problem. It's completely understandable given what they've done to you, and they seem to be continuing to die on the hill that they're on. Like, the mental gymnastics required in order for people to convince themselves that you're in the wrong here is astounding. Not the asshole, from my opinion. In the comments, Moose Live says, Not the asshole, but are you sure you want to marry this guy? He stood guard outside your bedroom so that his mother could try on your wedding dress. Do you think he will ever stand up for you against her? Also, I think all the incest suggestions are way off base. He is just an asshole who can't say no to his mother and is prepared to deceive OP if it will shut his mother up. His mother, on the other hand, is controlling, manipulative, and deceitful, and will probably be an absolutely horrible mother-in-law should OP choose to go through with this marriage. Edit 2, quote, I think all the incest suggestions are way off base. This was in reference to the suggestions that OP's fiancé was in or looking for a physical relationship with his mother. Emotional incest is a very distinct possibility. Thanks to everyone who pointed this out. Rain Squirrel says, send the photo to everyone invited with an announcement that regretfully, you will no longer be participating in the wedding, but you wish the couple the best. Vicious. I love it. Well, not vicious, just honest. Mummy is the one he really wants as a bride. This is what I was thinking. He wanted to see his mum in the dress because he wanted to imagine marrying his mum in the dress. What the hell? Sick shit. Good luck ever competing with future mother-in-law if you decide to marry this dude. Next thing you know, his mum will be offering you sex advice because I'm his mum. I've known his I can't even say that. I've known his body longer, so I know what he likes better. What's wrong with you? He saw his mum in the dress before he saw his fiancée in it, and he thinks it's no big deal. His terms are abusive. No Facebook for a month? He's a controlling jerk and he will only get worse after marriage. He couldn't care less about her feelings. Dump the narcs, not the asshole. That one is the most suspicious. The only reason I can think of for why he doesn't want her on Facebook or in the family group chat is that they want to spin this story and write stuff about OP, and they don't want her seeing it and setting the record straight or supplying her side of the story. A terrible friendo says, not the asshole, but the problem isn't just your future mother-in-law, it's your fiancé. He let her in. He was going to lie and hide from you that she tried it on. He is defending her actions. He disrespected your belongings. He didn't care about your feelings and still doesn't. He has shown that he doesn't care about your boundaries. He decided his mother's want to try it on is more important than your feelings, and that won't go away when you're married. Personally, my petty self would call off the engagement, and the announcement of that would be the picture of his mum in the wedding dress, stating, "Unfortunately, I cannot marry blank. It appears he's already married and emotionally committed to his mother. At the bare minimum, you should postpone until he can respect your boundaries." Update. Oh my god, this blew up, and so I thought I'd add some updates. My fiancé called and offered to pay for the dress himself so we can end the conflict, but he wants me to hand him my phone so he can delete the photo himself, swear that I don't have any copies to use against his mum later, apologize to his mum, and lastly, he asked that I quit his family group chat and log out of Facebook for at least a month. I haven't responded yet. P.S. He called with these offers and conditions hours ago, but I didn't want to include this in the post, but now I did. Also, I'm not sure if I'll agree because I don't want him to pay for it. I want his mum, the one who wore it, to pay for it. Not being vicious, but trying to hold her accountable. And yeah, I do think that she deserves to be held accountable in this situation, but it does seem as though he's very much married to his mother given these archaic conditions. I don't know about you, OP, but if I was in this instance, that would be a deal breaker for me, and I'd just cut my losses. It's better to be on your own than to deal with these two as a package deal. No thanks. Our next post is by user TA23454, titled, "My father has somehow found me after disowning me. What should I do?" This is a throwaway account. If you're wondering about a lack of information, it's because I hate thinking about this effed up situation. I'll give a very brief description of why this matters so much to me. My ex-girlfriend cheated on me, and after I found out and confronted her about it, she got scared and told nearly everybody that we knew that I had assaulted her to cover up her cheating. I was placed in custody during the investigation, however, I was released as there was no evidence. My parents had already disowned me, and most of my friends had distanced themselves from me. I wasn't even proven innocent by a jury, so my parents still believed me to be an assaulter who had gotten lucky. My best friend began to help me behind their backs, and I ran away. I had nothing to lose, as nobody liked or even approached me, and my college barred me from attending classes, only emailing me the work and bringing me in for exams. I went as far away from that town as I could and got an apartment after working in some community jobs for some money and managed to sort of stabilize myself. I decided to change my name after a while because I came to hate looking at it for some reason. I still don't know why. This helped me start a new slate, and I made a few new friends when I went into uni. Again, I don't know why I did this. I'm still in truckloads of debt and was incredibly poor looking back. I finished my degree in teaching and moved far away to a country on the opposite side of the globe where I live now. I got a nice apartment and settled down into my new job. I eventually met a girl who turned out to be my now wife. I originally couldn't trust her, and after realizing how much patience she had with me, I would flinch if she tried to touch me or I'd start fidgeting when she'd get close, I fell head over heels for her. She eventually gave birth to my twin daughter and son, who I adore and will defend to the edge of the universe. Her family got used to me very quickly considering I was a foreigner and not very trusted. They treated me well, and I sort of remembered how a loving family actually is. Now I'm living in a nice house with both of my children and wife, and we are very happy. That is until last night when I was playing on our PlayStation with my son while my wife and daughter were in the garden. There is a knock on the door, and lo and behold, my father is there. He smiled weakly and began to speak, but I slammed the door so hard that I scared my son. I took him to his room and called for my wife to take my daughter to her bed. She was freaking out, and so was I. My father kept knocking on the door, and I just broke down in the moment. My wife comforted me, then answered the door for me. She asked who he was, and he said he was my father. I had given my wife a vague background of me, and she had nothing but sorrow for me. She looked pissed, understandably, and began to scream at my father for abandoning me and whatnot. After she calmed down, I told her to let him in and for her to go to our kids' bedroom and keep them busy while I talked to my dad. He said that he was doing my ex-girlfriend a favor and clearing some stuff on her phone, and while he was clearing out some messages on her phone, he saw a conversation between her and the guy that she was cheating on me with, basically expressing the guilt for ruining my life and that she wanted to take it all back. My father didn't confront her, as he wasn't ready to bring back a dead situation, but silently began to hunt for me to tell me that he believed me. I don't even know how he found me, but I don't care because he's here. Now for the part that I need help on. I don't know what to do. I've considered my options alone after walking through some random streets, and I've come to some conclusions, but I'm not sure what the best decision is. 1. Turn him away and tell him to go back to our country and leave me alone, or 2. Reconcile with him and tell my mother. If there's a better option, then please let me know. I'm stressing out hard here and am planning to take the day off work tomorrow. My father is in an apartment nearby, so I'll probably go to him with my answer. Thanks in advance. In the comments, Janacious says, quote, he said that he was doing my ex-girlfriend a favor by clearing some stuff on her phone. Is that not odd to you? 1. Why would he still have contact with her? 2. Why would he snoop on her phone? People just trying to help don't go breaking into phones. This is a red flag. The man disowned you, still has contact with a woman who ruined your life, found the truth by being a snoop, and somehow stalked you halfway across the globe. Is this the chaos that you're ready to unleash on your family? OP replies, you're right, not much of it adds up. It's such a messy situation, and I hate being put in this position. I'm struggling to find the right words to say to him and to answer everything. Random Questioners says, oh sweetie, this was really brutal to hear. People who make false allegations should be sued and jailed. It ruins people's lives. This was absolutely ridiculous. The best advice I can give is to keep him out of your life. He was so willing to dump you so fast, without even spending enough time to talk it out with you. Not to mention you're already happy with the life that you have without them. Of course, you can choose to forgive whoever you want, but I wonder what his motive to try to reconcile was. Best of luck, dear. Thanks for sharing your story. And OP replies, thank you. I would like to go down the eye for an eye route and just not let him go near my family. I'm not the most forgiving person in retrospect. He has to live with the consequences of his actions. My advice is to forgive him, but that doesn't mean that you have to allow him back in your life after doing so. So forgive and never see him again. Completely your call though. Yeah, I feel like given that weird background of how he came to the conclusion that you weren't at fault here, I don't really believe it. So, maybe do forgive him and say, thank you for reaching out. But given how shady this is all of a sudden, I would keep my distance and I'd be like, let's just go no contact or very restricted low contact, absolutely. Like, we definitely hear about these things all the time, and I feel like more often than not, it doesn't end well. And this father is kind of just giving me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know. I don't like his vibes. Update. Hi everyone. I'm sorry that I haven't said anything recently, but I came to the decision that I would not reconcile with my father. I simply couldn't find it in myself to forgive him. Some of you might want a story, so here is how it went down the day after I made the post. I visited my father in his hotel, and I told him that I wouldn't reconcile with him or anything like that. He had tears in his eyes, but was understanding. He said he told my mother about her, and cut my ex-girlfriend off from the family entirely. I asked him why there was still contact, as many of you questioned, and he said that she apparently felt too guilty to really let us go. I'm not too inclined to believe it, as were many of you, but it's closure enough for me. Apparently my mother didn't take the news too well and tried to get my phone number, but my father didn't let in. I'm not sure what I could really trust given that I feel most of it's just a ploy to get me back into their lives, but after they threw me out onto the streets like a rabid dog, it just makes me sick. My son did end up asking who was at the door, but I told him that it was a colleague. I plan to tell both of them what happened to me in the past when they're older or going through tough times to let them know that I understand. We're all fine. It shook me up a bit, but I hope that I have my father's word in him keeping my new life a secret. If anything else happens, I'll keep you updated, but I think the matter is resolved for now. Thank you all so much for the support and good words. If anyone you know has gone through the things that I have, be there for them. You cannot throw them to the streets. Always stay alongside them and make sure they're happy, even if they have to move across the planet to be so. In the comments, Susie Kubert says, "You deserve peace, OP. I hope that your parents respect your wishes and that you're able to lead the life that you want to from now on. Good luck and take good care. You made a tough decision, OP. You don't owe anyone anything." Final update, titled, "I got closure from my family." This is my first time posting to this community, so I'll give some backstory. I grew up in a perfectly normal middle-class family, they raised me well, and I was living a good life. Then I got a girlfriend, and at the start she was amazing. We had many of the same hobbies and went along well. Then I discovered that she was cheating on me, and before I could out her, she threatened to tell everybody that I had assaulted her. I thought she was bluffing, but she actually did it, and my family disowned me. I was released from custody due to lack of evidence, but I wasn't able to be tried and acquitted. Therefore, my parents thought that I was an assaulter who had gotten away with it. I decided that I would start a clean slate. I stayed with my best friends for a while before getting copies of all my major information and running away. I got a teaching degree and moved to another country where I met my wife and had my twin daughter and son. Was living peacefully before my father found me, and it kicked off a chain of events that leads to this post. I recently had an incident with my family involving them breaking a promise. It angered me incredibly, and after a lot of thought, I decided I would face them directly. I flew back to my home country and met with everybody involved, my mum, dad, brother, and even the girl who accused me. I was nervous, of course, but I was shocked when I realized I didn't really see them as family. I recognized them, of course, but I didn't see them the way that I see my wife, kids, and in-laws. My mother started by breaking into tears and trying to apologize. I just felt disgusted by it. My father comforted my mother, and my brother was the one who kept his composure and initiated conversation. He asked me how I was doing, and I responded by telling him to cut any small talk, and that this meeting was on my terms. I told all of them that I was not looking for reconciliation, and I simply wanted closure. I made sure to tell them that I would call the police should they attempt to chase me. I asked my parents why they were so quick to abandon me, even though the police said there was no proof. They said that they made a rash decision, and seeing me in custody broke their hearts. I called them out on it since they didn't try to stick up for me or anything, so I then asked what some people on my original post had said about my father looking through my accuser's phone. He said that she came in to ask him to clear off her phone of non-essential stuff, and that's when she saw the chat logs with her friends. My dad was always good with technology, so while it wasn't fulfilling, I accepted it. I then asked my brother why he never contacted me. He looked surprised and said that he did, but I just ignored him all that time. It turns out he was right. My brother had tried hundreds of times to contact me and give me money to get me off of rock bottom, but questioned why I never answered and assumed that I hated him because of what happened. Well, as it turns out, my mother had my contacts blocked in all of her phone plans as she paid for my brother's old phone plan, so I couldn't even receive help when I was completely lost. Then the cherry on top, my ex. I first asked her why she actually did it. She said that she was scared of what would happen and that she never stopped loving me even throughout it all. She said that every session of therapy made her feel even more guilty, as if she knew that it was all fake. She then told me that she hadn't dated anyone since, in hopes that I would come back and she could apologize. Because I'm sorry would really reverse time and fix all of it, apparently. Even that was bullshit, because my father said that he found chat logs of 3 different partners she had when I was away. My ex broke down crying and tried to hold my hand. She had the effing audacity to ask for another chance. This just made me spiteful, and I pulled out my phone and began showing them all of the hundreds of pictures of my two children's milestones and good times that my family had together. Our visits to cities, their first day of school, both of them in my wife and my arms. I told them that this was what she could have had if she wasn't so stupid, and my parents what they missed out on for not even hearing me out. I had a moment when I thought that I'd gone too far, but I realized, compared to what they did to me, I hadn't. My visit wasn't all miserable though, as I met up with my old best friend and his family. They were happy to see me, and I was still grateful to them for taking me in when it felt like the whole world was against me. I plan to return to the country one day to show my kids where half of their culture comes from. I won't let them anywhere near my family though. As far as I'm concerned, my only family is my wife and her family and my kids. I'd say it went pretty well. Edit, as some of you asked, I've decided that I would allow my brother to fly over and meet his niece and nephew. I completely forgot to mention it in the post. Apologies. I hesitated at first as me and my brother weren't really on great terms growing up. Brotherly rivalry and all that. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one. Bye.